All right, welcome to this episode of the Sullivan Sports Show. I am your host, Kevin Sullivan, and today's topic is takeaways from NFL Week 6. But before I delve into the topic, I'd just like to say that I apologize for not uploading in the past, few months at this point. It's October. A few months at this point. I finally now am getting used to my routines, my schedule. I have football that I play myself. So just getting used to the schedule, trying to figure out times in which I can make scripts and notes and put everything together. But now that I finally have a schedule all settled in, ready to go, I think I'll definitely be uploading more consistently, if not every week. Hopefully every couple weeks. We'll see what happens, but it all depends on my schedule and whatnot. But I'm pretty sure that I'll be uploading more consistently. But regardless, with that out of the way, let's get started with the topic of takeaways from Week 6. First, we have the Patriots 6-0 versus the Giants 2-4. My main takeaway from this is just that the Patriots defense is astonishing. It is great. It is amazing. It is one of the best defenses I've personally seen in a while. It's just absolutely crazy to me. An amazing fact I just actually found out today is they have the 14th highest most scored points for fantasy purposes. In a normal fantasy league, they have the 14th highest amount of points scored. That is including quarterbacks and running backs and receivers and all that stuff, which is just absurd. It is crazy. But again, their defense is insane. And Tom Brady, while his stat line was all right, 31 for 41, 334 yards, no touchdowns, interception, he did not do that bad. He was a little shaky, but they definitely, with the starting the running game, which I'll get to in a little bit, being able to play action pass, all that good stuff, just getting into a groove. He was finally able to start doing stuff. He did have 2 rushing touchdowns, QB sneaks. Vultured Sony Michel for whoever had him in fantasy, so big yikes. But regardless, Tom Brady doing all right. Definitely he'll start improving. He'll have some more weapons with N'Keal Harry coming back, and hopefully them incorporating the rookie also Jacoby Myers from NC State into the system. I think that'd be really, really nice. But I also like to point out Daniel Jones. He had a rookie game, also meaning the fact that he just made some rookie errors. And he's playing against Bill Belichick and the Patriots. Bill Belichick is, I believe he's either 11-1 or like 12-1, or he's like perfect at home versus rookie quarterbacks. Which is just insane. But regardless, he knows how to manipulate and make rookie quarterbacks think about what they're going to do, have them make some bad throws. Daniel Jones had 3 interceptions. He did have a touchdown to Golden Tate, which was really nice. It was bobbled, but whatever gets you some points. They were fighting in the first half, but then New England was able to adjust and get ready to go and fire off in the second half and make sure that they were not going to lose to the New York Giants. I'd also like to say the Pats usually have an iffy start in September, but then they usually turns out nice and they roll and they start catching on fire until the playoffs, and then they just get what they need to do to get done. But they've played some pretty bad teams. As someone say, they have a pretty easy schedule so far, which has allowed them, excuse me, to be able to allow to be 4-0 at the start of the season, now becoming 6-0 while leading into some of these harder matches of the season, which is just amazing for him, because usually Belichick usually goes like 2-2, 3-1 in these September matches, but then now he's just on a roll. Also, I'm really impressed with the running game. The Patriots lost their center, David Andrews, at the beginning of the season, and they've had to incorporate a new center. And they also lost their left tackle, Isaiah Wynn, again to another injury, who's supposed to be really amazing and really good. I believe it was left tackle from Georgia 2 drafts ago. Same draft as Sony Michel. they've had to implement Marshall Newhouse into the line, but they're finally starting to get all the plays under their belt, all the pass protections, the running plays, all that good stuff. They're finally on a roll with the running game. That's really good for Tom Brady because that can allow him to take breaks. It'll allow him to set up the play action pass for hopefully an open receiver. Precision down the field, 20 yards. All right. Even though I'm also a little side note, I'm impressed with how Daniel Jones played, even though he threw 3 picks. That was to be expected. I wouldn't say he rose above expectations and played super well, but he just met expectations. And some rookie quarterbacks like Dwayne Haskins, even though he also threw 3 picks, he just looked awful. He didn't know what he was doing. He was overthrowing and underthrowing receivers, didn't know where they were going. Daniel Jones seemed to be a little more confident, had some juice, was able to fight in the first quarter with his team, and all that good stuff. He had no Saquon Barkley, he had no Sterling Shepard, and he had no Evan Engram. Not to mention Golden Tate just came off a 4-game suspension a couple weeks ago. So considering what he had to work with, I'd say he did pretty well. All right. Next, Deshaun Watson. Oh my, has Deshaun Watson been amazing these past few weeks. I'd just like to say, this is an amazing stat from Colin Cowherd. It's Watson is 7-0 when he has been sacked 1 or fewer times in those games. He has a 71% completion percentage, 20 touchdowns, and only 5 picks, which means he has 118 QB pass rating averaged in those seven games. And people were absolutely bashing the Texans for giving away that haul of draft picks, all those future just picks, and to help the tanking Miami Dolphins to achieve Laramie Tunsil, who in my opinion has been amazing so far for the Houston Texans. He was a little iffy at the start, but now that he's starting to get in the groove, getting to know everything, he's been amazing for Deshaun Watson. And again, 7 games that he has been sacked only once or fewer times, which, hint, hint, that was against the Chiefs in that game against Mahomes this past week. He's won. He's looked outstanding. He's playing really good football. And when you protect your best asset on your team, usually what teams try to build around, at least I'm pretty sure from what I've seen, is you need a quarterback to start to lead your franchise. You got to have your franchise guy. You got to build a line around him to protect him, to make sure your best asset doesn't get hurt. And then, you got to be able to get to the opposing team's quarterback, regardless. Now I'd like to move on to the Mahomes versus Watson discussion / battle of the amazing players. And I just like to start off with Watson was the Mahomes before Mahomes, I guess you could say. He was electric. He was amazing. He could scramble. He could run. He was running for his life. He was throwing amazing passes, yada, yada, yada. But he's had to overcome adversity. And that's why people were not praising him as they were praising Mahomes in his first season as a starter. Excuse me. Mahomes was sitting out his rookie year. He played a singular game, a week 17 that did not matter. He got to sit behind Alex Smith, a really smart, really good QB, like a good, solid franchise quarterback. He got to inherit Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Kareem Hunt, and have a monster year. Deshaun Watson didn't have that. Yeah, he had DeAndre Hopkins, but how are you going to pass to DeAndre Hopkins if you're getting sacked every play by a horrible offensive line when their defense pass rush is getting by them like nothing? Deshaun Watson finally has a left tackle, and look what he's done. He's been amazing these past few games with Laramie Tunsil by his side, protecting his rear. Yeah, it's just amazing what he's been able to do. Now, Mahomes is trying to fight through adversity. He's finally facing something that isn't perfect. He's he had to go without Tyreek Hill for a while. His number 2 receiver Sammy Watkins has been out. He's only had he's also had a running back by committee, Damian Williams. LaShawn McCoy doesn't know anyone he can really trust at running back because they're putting in Damian Williams, they're putting in LaShawn McCoy, Darrell Williams, just all in a mix, and oh my. But he's only had to use a rookie, Mecole Hardman, and his only consistency has been a tight end, Travis Kelce. Well, yes, he's really good. You can't target the tight end every play. He's finally having to start fighting through adversity. Not to mention, he's also injured. He's playing injured, which, yeah, good for you. Fighting it, being tough, leading the team. But Mahomes is finally facing adversity, which Deshaun Watson faced a while ago. And Deshaun Watson's going up. Well, right now, Mahomes is going down. But regardless, both are great quarterbacks. Oh, that game was a fireworks show. Amazing to watch. Very impressed with Deshaun Watson, and I'm very excited to see how Patrick Mahomes will keep fighting through this adversity, even though it's probably not going to be for too much longer. People are starting to come back getting healthy. He'll probably start getting healthy, but definitely been interesting to see how he's been dealing with everything around him. All right. Next, we have Russell Wilson. Before I get into Russell Wilson, I'd like to start off with my thoughts on MVP, and I'm pretty sure you already know where this is going. My thoughts on the MVP is that it should be someone who's doing well with what they have around them, not necessarily stats. Well, yes, I believe stats are super important. You should definitely use stats to back up your claim. You should also consider what the team has around them, what that player has around them. I'm going to use the Mahomes MVP last year as an example and then compare it to Russell Wilson this year. Patrick Mahomes last year lit the NFL on fire. No one had ever seen any talent like it. Throwing balls down the field. Tyreek Hill, 80-yard bombs. But Patrick Mahomes sat for a year, got to learn the whole offense, got to improve, got to work on everything. And he inherited Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, what's his name? Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Kareem Hunt. He had all those weapons just going right into it. But now, he was considered the MVP. But now, while yes, Mahomes did really well, I don't think I would have put him in as MVP because of all the weapons he had around him. But right now, if we're talking about, all right, forget the past, talk about right now. Why do I think Week 6, obviously, it's only been 6 weeks. There's still a ton of weeks to go in the NFL. Why right now Russell Wilson is making an amazing case for MVP. While he might not have the passing yards as Patrick Mahomes right now, he has a 72.5% completion percentage, 1,704 yards, 9 yards per pass attempt, and 14 touchdowns with, you guessed it, no interceptions. He's been playing amazing football. It's his 9th season, and he's still getting better. He's completely worth that mega contract that the Seahawks gave him. And the reason is, I also think he should be MVP's most valuable player. Look what he has around him. His best receiver, Doug Baldwin, his most reliable receiver, retired before the season started. Chris Carson, who is becoming a workhorse for this team at running back, was a 7th-round pick. Their best receiver, Tyler Lockett, who some people might not even know, was just a 3rd-round pick. Will Disley, a tight end, who is more considered blocking than he was receiving. He's taken all these guys, elevated them to a new level, and is playing amazing football and is a magician. He's finding ways to make things work. He's scrambling out of the pocket, extending plays, and having a connection with these players and making them into not all-stars, but just stars in general. And they are 5-1 right now. Granted, there's some fluctuation between all that, like a missed field goal could have the Rams win, but oh my goodness, he's been amazing. finding a way to win games. Unfortunately, Will Disley has gone down to an Achilles injury, so now he'll have even less to work with, and I want to see how he'll incorporate that into his play, not having this reliable tight end that he's created. But man, he's making a really good case for MVP this season, and hopefully he can keep continuing on that trend upwards because, man, he's electric and fun to watch. All right, let's go from all this jazz and woohoo and really fun and great raving, me raving about these quarterbacks, and now let's talk about Baker Mayfield and the Browns and what is going on with Baker Mayfield. Right now, Baker Mayfield has been playing garbage football. He has a 56.6 completion percentage, which the benchmark usually want to be in the mid 60s, so 56%, that's almost one of every 2 passes is caught, which means just not good. He's only got 5 passing touchdowns, and he leads the league in interceptions with 11. And I think the main reason for this, there's a couple of reasons. I guess I shouldn't say main. I should say there's some few outlying things that I see that is what is allowing Baker Mayfield to struggle. The Browns' offensive line is not that good. They need to step up their offensive line play. He's been sacked 16 times this season, which is the 6th most in the NFL. Which is just absurd. He should not be getting sacked this much. He's also 5'10", so he can't really see over his offensive line too much. He's better at throwing on the run than he's in the pocket, even though he's more of a precision, accurate quarterback. But they also have too many mouths to feed. They have Odell Beckham Jr., Jarvis Landry, Nick Chubb. They used to have David Njoku before he got injured. They're going to have Kareem Hunt coming back in a month. But I think they should stick with an identity. They've been force feeding. Their offensive line has been playing so well. There's been games where they've run the ball really well and played some great defense and they've won. But then the next game, they'll just go and they'll just start slinging the ball and sending up prayers and not even trying to set up the play action game to at least bait the defense. And they're losing. I think they need to have an identity and need to keep it going. They need to rush more, play some really good defense, and stop trying to feed all of these targets and just receptions or whatever you want to call it. Just stop feeding, trying to have everyone be happy, because there's going to be games where that's not going to happen, and you're going to need to win those games to be able to move on. Do I think the Browns will still be in playoff contention? Of course. They have too much talent not to be. They just need to figure it out. Like right here, Odell Beckham Jr., his stats. There's no correlation between him getting a ton of work and a little bit of work and winning and losing. Like some games, like he'll have 11 targets for 7 receptions and 71 yards and lose. Then the next week he has 10 targets with 6 receptions for 160 yards. And they win. But then they go and they'll have a week 3 and a week 4 and a week 5 where they're starting to lower his targets a little bit. He'll have 6 receptions for 56 yards. They'll lose. But then it's like, oh hey, we'll just give him 2 receptions for 20 yards only on 7 targets. And oh hey, we won. Let's see if maybe not feeding OBJ as much and trying I guess that does counteract my argument. You know what? But let's give him a little bit of targets. Let's just only have him maybe he'll be locked down. He won't be as good. 2 receptions for 27 yards in week 5. But they lose. But then again, there's no correlation between Odell Beckham Jr. and all these other really great players and winning. You need to have an identity. You can't go from running one game and playing great defense to you just trigger happy, throwing the ball down the field. You gotta have an identity. And yes, if you run and rush for like a really good game, 150 yards, 200 yards, and play some great defense, that will open up the play action pass to be able to hit Odell Beckham Jr. on that long deep ball. But that will only happen if your offensive line starts to really improve. They need to improve to be able to protect Baker Mayfield on these long throws and to help the running game more and play some great defense. Because they have Nick Chubb at running back, who broke out last season, rookie season, I believe. And he's just been playing some great football still when he's gotten the chance. The final topic of today, of this episode, is the Lions versus the Packers. Oh no, what other sports player or sports analysis, sports creator has not talked about this game? And now it's my turn. The officiating in some of these games is just atrocious. It is garbage. It is terrible. And I think the Lions should have won that game. The Lions smother the Packers in the first quarter at Lambeau Field, at Green Bay, leading the Packers by 13 points with a quarter and a half left, for a quarter and a half. And then the Packers also had 3 turnovers while Detroit had 0. And usually when you win the turnover battle, you win the game. That's usually how the game of football works. If you have the ball more, you have more chance to score more points, more chance to win. But in this game, didn't happen. And I'm okay. I'm all right. I'm not okay with poor officiating. But there's going to be times where they're going to make mistakes. They're human. Everyone makes mistakes. We're all humans. But when you make them that many times, and even if you do make it, you can't make it in the critical parts of the game when there's 2 minutes left. The Lions could have won that game. They were up in the end of the fourth quarter with the Green Bay Packers starting to drive the ball down the field. They had multiple third down stops, and they could not do anything with these penalties. Like, these penalties were killing them. These horrible penalties. What is it with the NFL refs and targeting Trey Flowers? Like, it's all right. If you make a bad call, it's like third quarter. Okay, we still have time. Maybe even early fourth quarter. We still have time to make up for this horrible call. But you can't be making these mistakes in 2 minutes left of the game. It's just not acceptable. All right, I'll bring some more argument into this, and then we'll see what they can do. All right. The Lions were actually playing some good defense on that drive. There's some plays where, oh man, they go and they sack Aaron Rodgers, or they make a really good defensive play, the cornerback, like Darius Slay goes and swats the ball or whatever. And then there's some plays where Aaron Rodgers is being Aaron Rodgers. He's really good. He's really good at making plays, extending plays, doing what he needs to do to get done, doing what he needs to do to continue the drive and move it forward. So it's back and forth between Aaron Rodgers leading them down the field and the defense stopping them, and the defense is doing really well. But then Aaron Rodgers makes a good play, but the defense does really well again. But then there's a time where Aaron Rodgers can't carry the team all the way down in like a 2nd and 13 to make it then. Oh no, he misses a pass. Now it's 3rd and 13, and then oh my, Trey Flowers makes an amazing play on a left tackle, I believe. Makes a really good play on the tackle, left tackle, and they get the sack on Aaron Rodgers. It's 4th down. But no, oh my, it's hands to the face. Even though his hand is on his chest, the people at home could see that it was not a hands to the face. And that is what annoys me about this game. You have NFL referees making over $200,000 a year, a season, basically, because it's a part-time job. You're only working in maybe the fall to the winter. And you can't be making those mistakes. If the people at home can see the problem and they know it's there, and there's not an actual hands to the face, and it's actually just him making a really, really good athletic play on the tackle, and the tackle is just getting blown up, it's not good. NFL can't be having this. All right. Sorry about all that rambling and negativity. What should the NFL do to change this horrible NFL officiating, especially at the end of games when every single game matters? There's only 16 games in the NFL regular season. NBA has 80-something. Hockey, I'm pretty sure, Sorry, I'm not a big hockey person. I know they have a lot. I know baseball has almost over 100, I believe. NFL has 16. There's no room for error in these games. All right, what should be done to fix the horrible NFL officiating? There's a few things that I'm thinking of that I brainstormed, wrote down a little bit. You could allow for more penalties that look questionable to be reviewed by either the ref, but that requires one ref to argue with another ref on the call, and they both have to see different things. And it's like, okay, actually go booth and figure it out. Official review, timeout, official timeout. They don't do that enough. They need to be able to argue more and use the technology they have around them. Especially in the last 2 minutes of a game when it matters the most. Even better yet, which is my personal favorite, is you should allow the coaches to be able to challenge. Save their they only get 2 a game. They only get 2 challenges a game. 1 in the first half, 1 in the second half. And if a coach is smart, hey, let's save this second half challenge until we actually need it. If there's a play early third quarter that's very controversial, they made a horrible call. But hey, let me save that until the fourth quarter, end of the fourth quarter, when that could decide the game. That is when I want to use my challenge flag. I don't want to use it on some, okay, the Green Bay Packers could still just absolutely blow us out even though there's a bad call there. Let's save it. Let's just save it until the end when we know we can either win or lose based off a call. But the NFL doesn't allow that. They don't allow within the last 2 minutes of a game for it to be challenged. And this is probably, I believe, because they want it to be fluid. They want it to be nice. They want to have the team with the momentum, make the drive, have the win for the touchdown. But that doesn't always happen. There's times where it's back and forth, but then penalties start ruining the drives, and the momentum's going back, and all this absurdness is going on, and then there's some high-pressure situations and some bad calls that come from it, where a guy is making a really good play on a tackle, and the tackle makes a really bad play on his blocking, and it's called a hands to the face when it's on the chest. Gotta be ready for those. And the coaches should be able to challenge that. And this last example, very extreme. I don't even really think they should do it. It's just something I came up with. The NFL should fire refs for bad calls if they were doing it consistently, yada, yada, yada. Like if the NFL ref makes 3 bad calls or whatever the criteria is for the NFL, for an extended period of time, they'll be fired and replaced. I don't think that's the way they should go. I think it should be with the second one I said about the coaches challenging at the end of games. But the point is this. The point that I'm getting to with all this ranting and rambling about the bad officiating and the Lions and Green Bay is this. This is the point. What is the point of not having like a certain rule in place or any of that good stuff? If you have all this technology around you to even help you make these really crucial game decisions, the game's on the line, you're fighting for your spot in the division to be able to go to the playoffs and win the Super Bowl. There's only 16 games. There's not 84. There's not 100. You have all this technology around you. Use it. What is the point of not using it if NFL refs and humans, like, it's there for a reason. Use it. Use the technology. Do not limit the technology that is there to help you and help you make the right calls and not get absolutely bashed by the media. There's technology for a reason. Use it. If refs can't even figure out how to, like, what is the point of using this? What is the point? What is the point of the instant replay system if you're not going to use it in the most crucial points of the game? You can't even figure out how to properly run. If the refs can't even figure out how to make good calls and run an NFL football game, at least use the technology to help you. Then again, it is what it is. Hopefully the NFL figures something out about it. But then again, weird note to kind of end show on, but we'll go with it. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Sullivan Sports Show. You can follow me on Instagram at KevinSullivan57 or on Twitter at KevinSull57. I believe it might be KevinSullivan57. Not too sure. Then again, a weird note to end off. I apologize on that, but I'm your host, Kevin Sullivan, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Thank you.